Hey, how's it going guys? This is Tom from UDS and welcome to the latest edition in our series where we look at the games that critics hated, but in actual fact, we really enjoyed. Whether they're so bad they're good or genuinely underappreciated hidden gems, we think it's about time they get the spotlight they deserve. And this particular entry comes from UDS team member Matt Dobbie. Based on aggregate review scores, we're going to throw ourselves directly onto the controversy bonfire and tell you what you really missed out on if you only listened to the critics of yesteryear. Last thing before we start, don't forget to like, hit the bell and subscribe for plenty more video game content every single week, and let me know what your favourite underrated games are in the comments below. Above all else, a video game should be fun. I mean, that's their main purpose. When you're a kid, you're not looking at what the critics are saying, you're grabbing a game with a really interesting cover or with brand recognition, and playing the hell out of it because you want to have fun. Bad game design didn't factor into my 9-year-old gaming habits. Unless we're talking about Sea Monkeys for the PS1, because I knew that was bad from about 5 minutes in. But it was this exact brand recognition that led me to Tweety and the Magic Gems. Let me tell you a story. I knew I was getting a Gameboy Advance for my birthday, and in the lead up, happened to see the box for the game in my local Dixon's. Hey, remember Dixon's? Of course you don't. I immediately made the decision there and then that this is the game I wanted. I didn't know anything about it, and didn't even think to look at the back of the box. All I knew was that I was getting my first ever handheld console, and I needed games for it. And going off my 9-year-old logic, Looney Tunes would be perfect no matter what they're up to. Tweety and the Magic Gems turned out to be a party game, a term that I wouldn't come to fully understand until many years later. So the story goes that Tweety Pie, lovable scamp that he is venturing through the woods one day and discovers a strange box. He opens the box and inadvertently unleashed bad forest magic and began slowly turning to stone. Granny, in her witchy form here, finds out and summons Looney favourites like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Sylvester, and more to scour the globe and collect 5 magic gems in an effort to stop Tweety fully turning to stone forever. Now, truthfully, the story really doesn't play a massive part in the game, outside of setting an effective turn limit. Every few turns, you see more and more of Tweety's body turning to stone. Once he's hit 100%, it's game over, whether anyone's collected the gems or not. The game board is basically a map of the world, with spaces allocated across it, and you decide how many spaces you move via selecting a card from a shuffling deck. The gems themselves change place for every game, but are always located within 5 famous cities across the world, which effectively act as mini-game boards that you enter via the main board. There's events across the map that can either help or hinder you, and your opponents can use items to stop you dead in your tracks. If you happen to draw an ace card from the deck, then Taz will arrive as the game's chaos element to ensure you're gonna have a bad time. And in true party game fashion, there were many mini-games to take part in to get character points to save up for items. Nowadays, and perhaps even at the time, this game would be seen by many purely as a Mario Party clone, and, you know, it's hard to argue. But what I can argue is that fact doesn't make it a bad game by any stretch. In fact, I think within the game board and the mini-games within it, it has a fair deal of scope that Nintendo's plumber has yet to realise in his party games. On top of all that, there's the style of this game. Now look, the visuals technically aren't astounding, but for the Looney Tunes universe, they're superb, especially for the GBA. On top of all that, the game's soundtrack has been ingrained in my head for bloody years. And, well, I might get blasted in the comments, but I'd take the Looney Tunes over Mario and his cohorts any day of the week, quite frankly. But what did the critics say? Well, the game currently sits with a 45 out of 100 on Metacritic, and I personally think it warrants a way higher score than that. Okay, so if you've played Mario Party before, then this might not win you over. If, however, like 9-year-old me, you had never played a party game before, you'd see that this is very clearly a game that's good at what it does, and, above all else, is a fun, good time. But what did you think of Tweety and the Magic Gems? Did you play it back in the day, or are you gonna check it out now? Please let me know in the comments below, I would genuinely love to read your thoughts. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe for more videos every single week, week. And you can always visit upsidedownshark.com to read the article that inspired this series. If I've remembered to, there should be a link in the description. But until then, my name is Tom, this has been UDS, and we'll see you next time.